I've been using Shades EQ Gloss for over 30 years. Let's have 10 speedy top Shades EQ Gloss tips. Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes a little bit of beauty. Shades EQ Gloss from Redken. I'm going to be saying that a lot in this video. I've even popped on a black top. You have to wear black when you work for Redken. This video is not sponsored. I'm making this because I know a lot of you love my Shades EQ Gloss content. There's an entire playlist here on my channel full of videos. I'm really sorry I can't give you individualized formulas, like specific formulas to you personally, because I can't see you. I have toning videos on here that tell you how to formulate with Shades EQ Gloss. It's all in that playlist, which is linked in the description. But I've been using the line for over 30 years. There isn't anything that I don't know about it. I use it pretty much every day that I'm in my studio. So let's have 10 speedy Shades EQ Gloss top tips. In my overexcitedness, I forgot to mention that Shades EQ Gloss, if this is the first video you've watched here on my channel, hello, thanks for watching, but it's a demi-permanent liquid hair colour. It's not just a toner. Lots of videos in that playlist I've already mentioned that will show you lots of different things like grey blending, like tint backs, like low lighting, lots of different things that you can do with it. It's a really brilliant product. I wouldn't be talking this, like I've said, this video is not sponsored. I would not be talking about it, nor would I have used it for 30 years. I also teach classes on behalf of L'Oreal, who own Redken, at their academy in London. I go to Ireland. I've been teaching for them for about 10 years, and I get to build my own education. Okay, so I just had to get all of that in there. It's a very popular product with professionals, hair professionals. It is a pro product. So it's a pro product. I love alliteration. So if you are a consumer, then this information in this video might be helpful if you go and visit a salon, or if you're one of those people that have access to wholesale products, but you do need to be a pro or have access to them in order to be able to buy it. Okay, number one. Let's start off at number one with some colour theory. Shades EQ Gloss, the entire line is much cooler than you think, okay? The results will be cooler than you think from looking at swatches online, or if you have a shade chart. Maybe you are a hair pro that works in a salon and you've not used it before, but they have a shade chart and you look at it and you think, wow, they look really warm. They're much cooler than you think. This is the gorgeous Claire that I did. She's a house model of mine. She comes and she gets hair colour in exchange for paying for the products. I give her my time for free. And I think you'll agree that this result doesn't look crazy warm, but on the mid-lengths and ends of her hair, I'll put the formula on screen down here. On the mid-lengths and ends of her hair, her formula was just gold. So it was G, it had some GG in there was some GI as well, but it doesn't look bright yellow because the Shades EQ Gloss is formulated to be cooler than you think it is. Very important to know that and to remember it when formulating. Coming in at number two, let's talk clear. Yes, clear Shades EQ Gloss. I get lots of questions over this. Clear was originally formulated to add to other shades to dilute the tone, okay? We don't like to say in the Shades EQ universe, although I don't work for L'Oreal, I'm a freelancer, that it dilutes the level, so it makes it a lighter level. But if you add clear, then it will shear out the tone over a greater surface area. For example, I always use clear if I'm toning global bleach or very, very light highlights and I want them to stay bright and zingy. Even though there are level 10s in the Shades EQ line, clear is something that is brilliant to have at your back bar, in your kit bag, to shear out that tone. Think of a cup of coffee. You have an Americano coffee, you add some water to it, and it looks paler. That's exactly what clear is for. There's a dedicated video for it here on my channel in that playlist, but clear basically shears out the tone. It also means that you can keep a smaller stock if you want to, and then you can add clear to your formulas to shear them out. Just to add to that, because I do get asked an awful lot, can you use clear on its own? No, it must always be mixed with, lovely segue to number 3, processing solution, okay? Shades EQ Gloss is always mixed with processing solution. There are 2 different sorts. There's the standard one that I generally always use, which gives you a slightly more thinner gel-like consistency. And then there is the, what's it called? I can't remember exactly what the name of it is. I'll pop it down here. Something to gel. Yes, that's the one. And that gives you a slightly thicker consistency. I don't think there's an awful lot in it, but this is what you need to remember, and I'm going to get very serious. You must always mix Shades EQ Gloss with the designated processing solutions. Don't mix it with anything else, even though people think they know better. If you mix it with peroxide, it will not be a demi-permanent colour. It will stain the hair much deeper in the cuticle. It will not fade. You know, there are so many people out there on the internet, very animated, who think that they know everything and that Shades EQ can be mixed with this sort of developer from this brand or that sort of. You really can't do that because the results will not be predictable. Please, 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 if you just take one thing from this top 10, let it be that Shades EQ Gloss, so many times, must be mixed with its designated processing solutions. Those and those only. I'm just giggling to myself because that was very serious. Coming in at number 4, we have the NB series, okay? Very interesting. They were formulated right back at the beginning in order to blend grey. Say, repeat after me, the NB series in the line blends grey hair. How much grey they blend depends on each different individual. The result will be slightly warmer, so if you want it to look very flat and ashen grey, this is not for you, it's not for everybody. This, on my bonds, is a mixture of 6NB. I think this time round I had a bit of 7NW and some 8GI. Sometimes I add a bit of 8WG in the mix as well. But NBs are fantastic for blending grey. There is a video all about them in that playlist. This here on the gorgeous Cynthia, that is, I think it's 6NB and 5G. Sometimes I mix up her formula. I did have somebody recently that said, you said that was a different formula. Well, sometimes I use different formulas. You know, that just is what it is. I'm a creative hairdresser. But if you're someone that uses Shades EQ Gloss and you have clients that want to blend their grey, it will not cover. I have some clients where they get very good blending. Some clients get less opaque blending, but it's a translucent product. But the NBs are for blending grey. Worth just mentioning, tagging on to the end of that, the NBs are also great because they are the most pigmented of the entire series. They're also great for adding depth to root shadows, or if you want something to give you maximum deposit, then add some NBs into your formula. Check out that playlist after you've watched this video. Coming in now at number 5, it's longevity of Shades EQ Gloss. If you apply the product to damp hair, it will not last you as long as if you apply it to dry hair. My formula always goes on dry. Most of what you see on here in results or on my Instagram, on my grid, I use it a lot in my studio. You know, I have used it consistently for nearly 30 years. It's such a brilliant product. I generally always apply it to dry hair because I want maximum deposit, maximum tone. If you're trying to cancel something out like brassiness, too much warmth, or blend grey, always apply it to dry hair. I know that 80% of people that use it don't. They use it at the backwash and they apply it to damp hair. That is fine too, but it will not last as long. The general rule, and it's different for everybody, if it goes on to damp hair, you're cutting the time that it's gonna last at least in half. And as hair professionals, we want to give value for money so that people become loyal and stay with us, and we get the results that we want. Damp hair will not make it last as long as you're putting it onto dry hair. Still very serious. Which follows on very nicely. It's almost like I wrote notes for this. I don't script my videos, but I do always write an outline, otherwise it would take twice as long to film. Number 6, processing times. Yes, Very often, Shades EQ Gloss is applied at the backwash for 5 minutes. People are checking their watch because they've got another client in and they've got to rush around. Is that you? And they're desperately pushed for time. I know, we're hair professionals. It's really tricky when you're scheduling people. I say work less, charge more, but that's a whole nother video. I think there is a video on that here on my channel. So if you don't process it for long enough, it won't last. It's another longevity point, okay? My Shades EQ Gloss to blend my grey is on for 20 minutes. If you're blending grey, you want max deposit, you're cancelling out brassiness, yellow, orange, any of that stuff, adding depth to the hair, then you really need to process it for the full 20 minutes. That is the full processing times, that's the guidelines that the scientists, the chemists who formulated it way back in the 80s decided you would get the maximum deposit. You can use it for less time, but it won't last as long. This is a good one. Lucky number 7. That's actually my favourite number. They will look dark when they process. Oh yes, you might be watching this as a hair pro like me and remember the first time you ever used it and think, goodness me, it really did give me the heebie-jeebies. That's because the way that Shades EQ Gloss works, it's a mixture of direct dye, which is what you see when you first mix the product up in the bowl. For example, the VB line, the violet blue line, that's brilliant for cancelling out brassiness. I have many videos all about that line actually here on my channel. When you mix that up in the bowl, it looks really blue. It's very scary, but that's the direct dye part. Then it has the demi-permanent part that sits underneath the hair's cuticle. That's how it deposits the colour, but when you look at it, it can look very scary and very dark. If you formulate it correctly, check out that playlist, then you've got nothing to worry about, but you just need to hold on to your hats because you will initially think, oh my goodness. If you're a hair professional but thought that when you first used it, let me know in the comments because I'd love to know. It's always something that in my classes that I teach that we talk about because it's a very strong visual and it can really give you the willies. At number 8, it's all about being creative and getting the results you want. All of the series within the line are all intermixable, so you can mix anything that you want, which is probably one of the reasons that I love it. When I first started using it 30 years ago, it was a much smaller line, much more compact. Then I think, with L'Oreal purchasing it and realizing that it was such a brilliant line, they've added to the line and there's a lot of new shades in there now, but some stuff that is really brilliant, like the VBs I've already mentioned. They're fantastic for cancelling out orange and yellow. Really, really, really good. But all of the shades are completely intermixable. And the clever thing about Shades EQ Gloss is that if you mix an N and a G, you will see both of those tonal values in your result, which is one of the reasons I love it so much, is because it's a translucent product and it will let all of those different things that you've mixed together show through. If you want specific swatching videos so you can see what the individual tones look like, what the underlying colours are, then I have swatching videos here on my channel. They're always done on white swatches, and so that you get a representation of what the tonal value of the colour is all about. But be creative with it if you're using it already and you're just sticking to the same few shades. Do mix things together because you get beautiful results. And if you've not used it before, so much to say in a short space of time, mix things together, get creative. This is a great one, coming in at number 9, and a very, very important one. If you want to cancel out something, neutralize brassiness, put your teeth in, Craig, or too much yellow, if you're trying to neutralize, toning on the level or below the level will give you a better result. What do I mean? So for example, you have lifted to something around a level 7.5, 8. Oh yes, a lot of orange yellow. If you formulate on that level, so say a level 7, you're going to get a much better neutralized result. If you formulate on a level 9, you will not get a neutralized result. There'll still be lots of warmth. You might want that, But a lot of the time I know what happens is people lift up the hair, they see that warmth, but the client is telling them that they still want to be blonde, so then they formulate much lighter and they don't get a neutralized result. Because Shades EQ Gloss is very translucent, it's a gloss, yes, you need to formulate on the level or below to get the best results. There are lots and lots of formula examples here on my channel in that playlist. Yeah. Number 10 is all about heat. Yes, in America, in the US, the guidelines have always been, I haven't checked them to see if they are still that way. This video is not sponsored, so I don't need to check things when I'm not being paid to make a video. But in America, it has always been that you can apply heat to Shades EQ Gloss. In the UK, it's always been that you shouldn't do that. It should always be processed at room temp. I would not suggest processing it underneath heat, regardless of where you are in the world, on the planet, because if you do, it will push it further into the hair. If you want it to be more permanent and you want more of an opaque coverage, then go for it. I'm not saying that you should do that, but if that's what you want, go for it. If you do, just be aware that you will get a regrowth from it because the energy, the added energy of the heat is making it go further into the hair. Do I sometimes cover my Shades EQ Gloss very loosely with a plastic cap or with cling wrap? Yes. Do I apply heat? Never. In fact, I don't apply heat to any hair colour. So that's it for my speedy, well, speedy-ish, as speedy as I can be. You know, it's very hard. I have to get as much information as I can into a short space of time. But that's it for my speedy top 10 tips for Shades EQ Gloss, for Redken's Shades EQ Gloss. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you know exactly what to do. You liking this, sharing it with a friend. Maybe you have a friend who's a hair pro who wants to use Shades EQ but is petrified. Then this would be something perhaps to send their way, or that playlist which I've mentioned many, many times, shameless plugs. Why not? I think there's over 800 bits of content here on my channel, but lovely folks are always asking me for a video on this or a video on that, and the chances are that it's here on my channel already if it's got something to do with hair. Have you used Shades EQ Gloss for a long time like me? Do you have some top tips, some hacks, some favourite formulas maybe that you would love to share? I would love to hear your comments, to get your comments. I love reading all of your comments. I read them all and I reply to everybody. My stomach is rumbling. If you've got to the end of the video, a huge thank you for that. You all take lots of care and I'll see you all in the next one.